Good evening, everyone. Acceptance is a process. Welcome back to the second season of Voice Out, Speak Up to Reach Out. So, I'm back again with the second season of Voice Out after a very successful season one. Well, it has been a beautiful journey finding all of my speakers for this particular season. For those who have been following me from the first season already know me. And for those who are attending it for the first time, I am Rosie Bonita Fernandez and the founder of Being Beautiful. Being Beautiful is about acceptance. And I have initiated Voice Out as a platform where you express to inspire. Acceptance has been the first step towards any situation in life. It does not come built, and it is a process. Well, my speaker for today, who is Minakshi Pramanik, is a perfect example of acceptance. How she has accepted the life that God has given her and how she is a cancer survivor. She is a single mother and she lives in Kenya with her son. So, welcome Minakshi to this episode. Once again, before we go, I would request everybody in the audience, whoever is there, please put yourself on mute so it will be easier for both of us to speak. Okay. Minakshi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Minakshi, I just wanted to know, since I all see, well, I know a little bit about you. So, why did you basically see? I would also like to tell people how I know you. You were nominated by one of my previous speakers who was in season one. Her name is Zoompa. She's also a dear friend of mine. So, she nominated you for this season, and she told me the struggles you have been through and hardships that faced as well. So she was the one who introduced me to you, and I must say, the first time that we connected, you are such a beautiful and pure soul. Even the comments that I've been receiving on Facebook for you has been incredible. I was in literally tears to see the response that I got from you. Why did you think it's important to voice out?
Firstly, thank you once again, Bonita, and thanks to Rumpa as well. She has been a very, very close friend of mine. I know her for some quite few years now. It's very important to voice out. Unless you reach out, uh, everybody, I think everybody, all of us in our life have some story or other. Okay, where we have a story of our struggle, story which gives us happiness and smile. So not necessarily if you're struggling, but it is also important, even if you're happy, it's important to share. Because unless you reach out, the other person who is next to you will not understand what you are going through. That person might be in a position to help you as well. So it's no shame to ask for a help, or it's no shame to reach out and talk about it. Yeah, unless you talk about it, once you talk, I think that's the first step to get a solution to a problem. So I think it's important to voice out, to talk.
Yes, very well said. Like just yesterday, I was having a conversation with my friend, and we were just saying that everybody in this life has a story to tell. Everybody has a story. Very few choose to come out and open on a public platform where there are many people watching them and speak something which is very personal to them, their struggles. You never know that your survival journey can be somebody else's Bible. Like for example, for us, it can be a guidance where your topic or what you are going to say is going to inspire someone. At least, I mean, I'm sure about that because that uh, for the previous season, the speakers, all of the speakers have been incredible, and I've received great response from them. So I'm sure that your story is also going to be that. So you know a little bit about being beautiful, and what is your story of, or what is the most beautiful thing in your life?
Okay, there are so many things. I mean, firstly, I'm being human, being alive is the most beautiful thing. I think every day when I wake up, not because of the struggles that I've gone through, but also I think with the life experiences that I had, I think it's very important and very beautiful every morning when you wake up and you see that you're alive. It's a beautiful morning. I think that's one thing, and another most beautiful thing is to become a mother. I think, yes, a lot of struggle comes, but being the mother, I think it's really beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Well, since I just met your son just before we went live, so it is definitely a beautiful feeling, like you said. Well, also you told me while we spoke that you were a single mother when he was 6 months old. Now that is something which is not easy for anybody to deal with. It is not something which you must have even thought it would happen to you. So your son was basically just 6 months old, and you went through separation or you were divorced at that point of time. So can you throw some light on that topic, please?
Okay, I'll take you back a little more, few years before. I mean, I think I I got married to the person I first fell in love with in my life, and I had a beautiful marriage of 5 years. So in this 5 years is when I actually learned a lot of things. My ex-husband, he has helped me in terms of supporting my career, making me understand a lot of things, a lot of perspective in life. So obviously, as you just rightly said, that I never thought I will go through what I've went through with my marriage. I had a beautiful 5 years of marriage, and every year, I think every single year, he would plan a vacation every few months. We used to even after marriage also we used to go out on a secret date and all. So it was all fun journey I had, and it wasn't a sob story ever. So then on the 6th year, I gave birth to Ishan. So obviously it was out of the blue because such a beautiful, marriage, such a beautiful compatibility we had. And all of a sudden, exactly when he was 6 months is when I could figure out that he's not willing to continue with the relationship. And that's when I decided. I mean, it's very hard. Obviously, I was it was a shock for me. It took me a lot of time. So why when I said in the beginning that it is very important to talk, so initially I didn't do that. I kept it to myself. I thought it is, it's my story. It's my decision to get married to him, and let me give it a try. So I actually gave it a try for almost a year, and after the issue started, but it didn't work out. So at some point in during that time, I realized that I need help. It's no point keeping quiet. The more I was quiet, I was struggling. I mean, I realized that I am not in a position to handle the situation. So I reached out. I spoke to a counselor. So where I used to work, there was a counselor who used to be visiting our office once a week. So one fine day, I realized that it's taking a huge toll on me, because at some point I am also balancing my work. I have a 6 months old baby at home. I was living in the same house, going through a grind, emotional grind, I would say. And I needed to reach out. So it was very, very important. I had to go out and talk to this lady who actually helped me to take my first step towards being a single mom, because I realized that life is not about crying to get back to the life that I'm thinking that I can have. It's also about taking a step ahead. If it is not working, I'm a mother end of the day. So if not anything, I have to live for my son. So that was the first time when my counselor made me understand that you have a life ahead, and your son is very, very important to you. So you should have a life. So yeah, so it was a big struggle. It was a big blow. It was exactly on his 6th month birthday is when I realized that my ex-husband has decided to move on. And today it's, I think a week down the line, my son will become 13. So it's almost yeah, it's almost 12 and a half year that I've been single mom.
It
It's
is,
amazing.
yeah, it is a long journey, and I think if you're saying this with this much of confidence and you do not have tears in your eyes, that means you are completely healed from that particular incident. Because at times when we are narrating our incident to people, and we talk about our past, we go back into our past memories, and when we are narrating any incident, and if that gets tears in our eyes, I think you still need healing at that point of time. And I was just noticing how you were so calm and so composed when you were saying something like that, because it's not easy to speak about something which was which was uh, so painful, which actually happened to you. And so yeah, also I wanted to ask you about. I also know that you're a cancer survivor, like I said at the beginning of the incident, while introducing you. So being a single mother when your son was 6 months old, and after a couple of years you moved to Kenya, and you had cancer. You were staying all alone there. I mean, how did you?
Okay. Obviously, for the in the initially when it all started, in 2018 I lost my father. All of a sudden he passed away in August. So September, October, November, it was more like 3 months. I was mourning. Obviously, losing a parent is not so easy. So in the month of December in 2018 is when I realized that there's something not okay. So I felt a lump and I decided to go for a checkup. So even that decision of going for a checkup, knowing that I'm going for a cancer screening, was extremely tough. So I did it, and the whole of December I did my thorough screening. So on 30th of December, the doctor said, that by then all the reports were out, and the doctor called me on 30th of December saying that, why don't you come over? We'll discuss about your case. So I said, no, I want to enjoy my 31st night. So I don't know what's going to happen on the other side. So I decided not to go on 38th. So 31st, I enjoyed the way, as if I felt as if, as if there's no tomorrow. So I had a good time with my with my son. Then I went out with my friends, and I came back pretty much late. On 1st of Jan, I did a very nice lunch. I cooked lunch, and me and my son, we ate. Obviously, at the back of my mind, there was something going on. I don't know what's happening, what's going to happen tomorrow. So on 2nd of Jan 2019, I went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed that I'm cancer positive. So initially, obviously, I at the back of my mind, I was preparing myself, but accepting the fact that I am cancer positive, it took a lot of time. So initially, I felt as if my life is counted for next 3 months. So it's dated. So I started thinking what to do, how to move Ishan, with the family. What should I do? I started thinking of on those lines. But I think I'm blessed in a way that I met a beautiful doctor. He had been extremely a big support to me, and he told me that, Meenakshi, it's about 1.5 years. You give me 1.5 years of your life, that's it. But if you decide to go back to India, be with the family and do your treatment there, I think it's high time that you decide within a week's time and go back. So that was a time when I decided that, going back to India means I still have to go through the treatment. It's not that going to India will stop me from the treatment. And it's me who has to undergo the treatment. So I might as well, rather than putting my mom into stress, my family into stress, I decided not to share anything with them. So my family didn't know about it until the time when I had to go for a surgery. I had to inform my brother. But until then, there was a friend of mine who is here. So she actually helped me, and few more friends who were not even here, but from distance, every time they used to keep, calling, inspiring me, supporting me. So I decided that, I don't want to uproot myself. It's not about uprooting myself. It's also about my son. So you're taking him back to India, setting him down, looking for a school. I think that's when I decided, let me do everything from here. I mean, what max will happen? There's a doctor to support me. Yeah, there's a treatment that I'll have to undergo. So I decided to be here, take the treatment myself. So initial stage was really, really tough to accept that I have to go through the chemo, because chemo has a lot of side effects. So my doctor had explained to me that, chemotherapy had to have a lot of side effects. So you will undergo a lot of changes in your physical attributes. Like, for example, your looks will change, you will lose your hair. It's very tough. So I was staying here with my son, and I stay here with my son, and I have a house help. So I started preparing them that, within few weeks, I might start, or maybe a month's time, I'll lose all my hair. I might look very different. So I was preparing them well in advance. So I went, I think the acceptance is, as I keep saying, it's a process. It doesn't come overnight. So I was preparing myself through the journey. Doctor said maybe after the second or the third chemo is when you will have to maybe shave off your head. So before my second chemo, I decided to cut short my hair because my hair started, already it started dropping. I used to see the strands of hair on the pillow, or after I shower, it's there in the shower. So I decided that let me just cut it short. So I cut it short, and a couple of days later, I went for my second chemo. And when I was taking my chemo, I could see my hair is literally falling off, like you see, the leaves, dry leaves fall off the tree. Similar, like where I was seated in my chemo bed, next to it, I saw all over the place there was a lot of hair. So I couldn't take the sight of it, and I was sitting there alone. And obviously, I could not hold back my tears, because I think we Indian have that thing in us that we feel our beauty is in our hair.
That's right.
So it was extremely tough. So I called this friend of mine and I said that, look, I need help. And that's the first step to acceptance. When I said that I need help. So she said that, yeah, what do you want? So I said, I need to go to the salon after this, and I need to shave my head. I can't see that every time I'm turning around, I see the hair is all down there. So she said, okay, fine. So I finished my chemo. I waited for her in a cafe, and I was preparing myself that I have to see myself, a different me. Two things my doctor said that you have to repeat, like it's like a prescription for you. So every morning when you wake up, you sit in front of the mirror and tell yourself that I love my life and I'm beautiful. So these two lines had actually worked wonders for me. So I started repeating that within myself. And then after my chemo, straight from the hospital, I went to the salon. I shaved my head. And it was extremely tough for me to accept the fact that I don't have a single strand of hair on me. So I started looking different. Within a few more chemo sessions, I started losing my eyelashes. Not every, but yeah, the eyelashes were not there. Eyebrows became thinner. So it was extremely tough. And then the best part is when I came home, I didn't know how my son would react without, seeing me like that. I decided to buy a wig. So I put a wig, I came home, and I called my son to the room and I said, look, as I said that I would start looking different. So here I am. I removed the wig and I just stood in front of him. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm blessed in a way that I have such a beautiful son like Ishan. He just looked at me and he said, Mom, you look quite smart, you know that. And this is an in thing, this is a trend, not to have hair. Having hair, long hair, is everybody's having. How many of you have you seen without the hair?
Yeah.
So it's a trend, Mom. So, be happy, smile, you look so beautiful. So yeah, and that little chap, I don't know from where he understood. Like every other day, who'd write a small chit to me that you're the most beautiful mother in the world. So I used to carry those as an affirmation, in me, along with me every time I would go to work. I always kept myself busy. That's one thing that I would say, that if there's anyone who is struggling with cancer, keep yourself busy, keep your mind occupied as much as possible, as much. Because every time I would go for a chemo, the first thing I would do is I would log into my laptop. I would carry my laptop because I was there alone. So I used to carry my laptop. I would log in. I would check my emails. I'll work for the first few hours. And then straight away, once the work is done, the emails have been responded, I will straight away go into Netflix. So I would watch series after series. I would watch series there, keep my mind busy. Every single day I went to work. Only the day I went for chemo is the only time I missed my work. But otherwise, I kept working every single day. So I think I'm blessed in a way that I had beautiful friends around me. I had my son. I had a work, and I could keep myself busy. I think, yeah, that's a long one, but I thought it's important to share.
Yeah, it is. I think very well said. Whatever, because I think people need to understand what is acceptance and how important using affirmations, like you said, like I am beautiful, I am positive. These things really help because as humans, we have so many thoughts in our mind 24 hours. We have like billions and millions of thoughts going on in our mind. We can't control every thought. We can't control any negativity which comes to us. What we can do is we can change our negative mindset to a positive mindset by using affirmations. It is really important. It has also helped me personally. So I completely agree when you said, that using those two sentences, and also that your son who is not, who is, I think he was what, 10 or 12 that time when
10. Yeah, he was 10.
but for a 10-year-old child to say things like this and write a chit and understand what his mother is going through it's too good. I am speechless. I really do not have words what to say about that. Well, also along with being a single mother, being a cancer survivor, you also lost both your parents. Okay, you spoke about losing your father already, but now you lost both your parents. So how did you cope up with so many things that life kept throwing at you? Your separation, your divorce, cancer, losing your father, losing your mother. I mean, like how?
Okay, you sound as if I'm a superhero, but no, I'm nothing like that. No, 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 I am not. But not bragging, but losing Ma was a big blow as well. I couldn't see her one last time. That
Yeah.
is something which I'll never forget in my life. And never, rather, I keep saying I used to feel guilty about it. That every December I used to visit her. So 2019. December, I was also planning to, not 2019, I'm sorry, 2020, December. I was planning to go, but then again, COVID things came up. So, and I just finished my immunotherapy, few months back.
Yeah.
So the doctor said that, this is not at all the right time. If you can give some few more months, I think it would be better. So that's when I told my ma that, ma, I'm coming maybe 2021, July, I should be there. So, and she used to keep saying that, Ma, I hope I get to see you. I hope I get to see you. So I still can't forget that she just, she just had a mild stroke and she just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see her one last time is something that, hurts me a lot. So I think I'm still struggling. It's not even, I think, 6, 7 months, 8 months, I think 9 months now. So I'm still struggling. When I say that I don't have both my parents, it's extremely tough. It's very, very tough
Of course.
to say that I don't have either of them. So even if I have never, to be honest, I have never, I mean, ever since I got married, the time when I had to leave my ex-husband's place for for a year, almost a year, I had to stay with my parents, and after that I have been away from them. So for the longest time I've not lived with them, but the fact that I don't have them in my life is extremely painful, saying none of them is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. You also told me that you have a brother, and while we spoke earlier, when we connected before this episode, you told me how much your brother supported you and how he has been your pillar of strength. Is there anything you want to say to your brother? I'm not sure if he's one of the audience today, but is there anything you want to say? Because I have an extremely supportive brother as well. And so when you said that about your brother, I was like, I do that as well. So is there anything that you want to say to your brother? Because he can hear it now, maybe whenever I upload this episode on YouTube.
I think I keep saying my brother and me, we have a difference of 1.5 years. We are more like friends. So all throughout our journey of life, I think we have been more of friends than of sibling. You know, from starting from small, tips to fight to, snuggle to, making up. So this is something very beautiful relation I share with him. I keep telling him that, after parents, if anyone you want to, fall back on, it's me. So you better, be with me all the time. And say similarly.
So
I
you
also
are
say
the
that,
elder one. So you are the elder
no,
one.
no, no, no. He's the elder one.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the elder one.
Okay, that's nice to know. Well, now just sometime back you said I make you sound like you are a superhero. I think there is a better thing that I would like to call you, but I would want to know from you what would you like to call yourself? That life has been throwing so many things at you. Whether you would like to call yourself a victim or you would like to call yourself a survivor.
No, I'm still surviving. So I'm still a survivor. I would prefer calling myself a survivor. I think victim, we become a victim, I think at some point in life for different situations. But how we come out of it is what, makes the story. So for me, I think I'm still surviving. I'm still a survivor. So I would prefer myself calling as a survivor.
Yeah, because I think many of us choose to be a victim many times when we don't have to. We have to stand up for what is right, and self-respect is very important. Many of us forget that, especially women, because they think it is okay in a relationship to accept anything that your partner puts you through, say in the name of being in love or you're married to that person or whatsoever reason. I think your self-respect is very important when it comes to any kind of relationship. Well, actually, I forgot to mention this at the start of the show. Every episode is connected to one color of the rainbow. So today's episode, like the first color of the rainbow, is red. And for me, it is acceptance because acceptance has always been the first step towards any mental health issues. We as humans are not ready to accept anything, like be it a divorce, be it job or crisis, be it money, be it relationship, anything. We will start making excuses and we will start calming ourselves down, making ourselves understand that no, this is not what it is. But in the reality, it is something else. It is something which we are not ready to accept. So for me, the first step towards mental health has been accepted, and today's color is red. Actually, I forgot to say. I completely forgot to say. But since this episode is about acceptance, and it has always been a step towards mental health, what is the advice that you would like to give people about accepting any situation which comes their way?
I think I'm not in a position to advise, but all I will say is, start talking. It's not that you have to reach out to 10 people and talk about it to 10 people, but I'm sure every one of us have at least one person who is a confidant, who is your own, whom you feel
Yes.
that you can talk without even having any inhibition in your mind that this person will make a judgment on me. I think first step is talk. It's no harm asking for help.
Yeah.
So I think at times we become so staunch, so bold that we feel no, why will I even ask for help? But I think that's a very wrong way of looking at it. Everybody in their life have a story, have a struggle. It's important to share. It's important to talk. So the moment you talk is basically the first step you're taking towards getting a solution to the problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, many people don't want to seek help. They don't want to seek therapy or any kind of guidance simply because they think that seeking guidance or therapy is people think that they are gone mad or something like this, because that is what it is termed to. If you're seeing a therapist or you're seeking guidance from a coach, means you're mad. I mean, I don't see it that way, and I don't think people also should see it that way. And because if you are sick, if you have fever, you go to a doctor, right? A doctor treats you. If you have cold, cough, anything. Likewise, how we have physical health, we also have mental health. And it's very important for people to take care of their mental health. It's very important to address and accept that, okay, uh, this is a problem in me. I need to seek help. I need guidance. And it's okay if you don't want to seek help from a therapist directly. Like you said, you might have a confidant, you might have a best friend, you might have somebody very close to you who you can sit and share. And a person, basically you need a person who doesn't judge you, because in today's world there are a lot of people who will judge you based on the decisions you make, what you have gone through. But you should not judge anyone, because you never know when you are in that situation. It's very easy to uh, make comments and pass any kind of comments or something like that. Well, Meenakshi, thank you so much for your time. And before we end for the day, I would ask anybody who, if they want to ask anything to Meenakshi or me, we are open for like 5 to 10 minutes here, because we have our I think audience. I don't know if anybody wants to put on their mic and say something to Meenakshi or me. Is your son around, Meenakshi? Because I really wanted him to come on the video and
I
come.
he just said hi to you because he wanted to rush down and play. So he has gone downstairs to play. Yeah,
That's
he's
fine.
he's around, but he's down there.
That's okay, fine. So, okay, thank you so much, Meenakshi, for agreeing to come on Voice Out. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. And I'm sure that okay, we have a comment from Ansela who says, well done, Meenakshi, for all that you have overcome. Thank you so much, Ansela. Well, Ansela is one of my speakers as well.
Wow. Thanks, Ansela. Thank you.
Yeah, and also, guys, please do take care. Make sure that you're wearing your mask. Take care of your family. Take care of your health. And Meenakshi, is there anything you want to say? What is there in your heart, your mind, maybe to me, to the audience, to the universe, to anything before we end?
I think the same thing that the doctors told me, no matter whether you are going through, any physical ailment or, mentally if you feel low, just sit in front of the mirror, talk to yourself. It's so important to talk to yourself and look at your face when you're talking. Yeah. Sit in front of the mirror, just talk. Whatever it comes to your heart, just talk. And the two lines that the doctor said, just keep repeating to yourself. I think that has helped me, and I would urge everybody, if you can do that, it might help you.
Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining in, and people who have. I will be uploading this episode on YouTube, and this link will be shared with you. You can share it with your people later on. Thank you so much. Good night and take care. And stay
Thank you. Bye bye.